We first set eyes on Triumph's new Rocket 3 at the launch of their factory custom line alongside a TFC version of the Thruxton, but exact details and specs were sparse. We had performance estimates, but the rest I had to speculate upon based on the images and videos that were released. But people are really hyped about this bike, so when Triumph released the price and specs of the TFC Rocket 3 today, I had to make a follow-up, so let's run through them. Now, Triumph are billing the new Rocket 3 as the ultimate motorcycle. The all-new 2.5-litre triple is going to deliver 170 PS of power and 221 Nm of peak torque. That makes it the most powerful bike that Triumph have ever made, beating both the current Speed Triple and the last iteration of the previous Rocket, which both put out 148 horsepower. The peak torque of 221 Nm is huge. Triumph say it'll make it the world's highest torque delivered by a production bike, and I had a poke around and couldn't find many bikes that come close. Take, for example, a Kawasaki Ninja H2R, 165 Nm, but that's a bike that's built and tuned for all-out power rather than torque. So what about something built for torque like the big Harleys? A new FXDR 114 with a V-twin of over 1.8 litres, only 160 Nm. The old Rocket is the closest production bike I could find at 196 Nm, and in fact the Rocket Roadster, a tuned up version, also put out 221 Nm according to Triumph's website. But I guess that's not in production anymore, so the claim stands. It might take the edge off a great marketing line, but also consider that the old bikes were really heavy. The Rocket was 320 kilos dry, and the Rocket Roadster 334 kilos dry. So here's the good news that a lot of folks have been waiting for. Triumph claim that the new bike will be 40 kilos lighter than the old one. So I'm hoping that they're referencing the Rocket and not the Rocket Roadster, and we can expect around 280 kilos dry. Weight has probably been saved in a number of places, but removing the traditional frame in favour of using the motor as a stress member has to be a major factor. There was some speculation that the announcement of a new Rocket 3 was a response to the success of Ducati's Diavel, which, because of its relatively minuscule dry weight of 220 kilos, could easily beat the old Rocket in a straight line, despite its smaller 1200cc V-twin putting out less power and torque. So how do the figures of the new Rocket stack up to the new Diavel 1260? The Rocket's 170 horsepower and 280 kilos dry give you a rough power to weight ratio of 0.607. Obviously this would be more realistic with the wet weight, but I don't have it to hand, so let's use this as a rough estimate. The Diavel 1260's 159 horsepower and 218 kilos dry weight give it a power to weight of 0.729, which is quite a big difference, probably greater than any variance in applying the wet weight. But there's a huge gap in torque. The peak torque on the Diavel 1260 is just 129 Nm, which is only a bit over half of the 221 of the new Rocket 3. So there you have it. The Diavel is most likely going to be quicker in a straight line, but if you want to attempt tractor pulling with a motorcycle, probably go for the Rocket. Some other bits of spec were released, such as the silencers on the TFC being supplied by Arrow and having carbon end tips. Brakes will be Brembo style emmers. The rear monoshock will be a fully adjustable shower unit with piggyback reservoirs, and there'll be LED lighting, a TFT dash, and an interchangeable pillion seat. But what about the main thing, the price? Triumph say the TFC Rocket 3 will start at just £25,000, and dealers are taking deposits on this limited run of 750 bikes right now. But if you can't find enough cash down the back of the sofa to call the dealer right away, what about the production model? No details were mentioned, but consider that the Thruxton TFC was priced at £17,500, and the top of the line Thruxton R starts at £12,500. So you can probably expect the production Rocket to sell for somewhere between £16,000 and £20,000. That's more than the old Rocket, which was priced at $13,900 in 2009, but that was 10 years ago, and the new bike adds a lot of tech and improved equipment. What about the new Diavel 1260S? Well, that starts at $16,795, so let's hope the Triumph is at the lower end of my estimate in order to compete. £25,000 certainly isn't cheap, but this is a collector's version of the ultimate motorcycle. Let me know what you think of the price in the comments below. Is it too expensive or justifiable for something so out there? It's a 2.5 litre motorcycle after all. And if you're new here and you want to see more content like this, hit subscribe and I'll see you in the next video.